Alright, everybody, buckle up. Tonight's stories are wild, even by Reddit standards. We've got a husband trying to cheat on his wife weeks after his wife gave birth. Then we got a guy who broke his buddy out of jail. It worked. It freaking worked. For a maximum of 60 seconds. Then gravity, consequences, and police entered the chat. And then we got this family. This mom and dad, they're swingers. Okay, whatever. Do you. Boo, boo. But the PDA is out of control. The kids have bitched and bitched and bitched and bitched and bitched and bitched. They don't care. They're like, you know what? If I want to show my girlfriend my boobs, I'ma do it. If I want to make out, I'ma do it. It's messy, y'all. It is a messy, messy story. Oh. And it's got updates. So buckle in, okay? And we got this man, this pathetic man. He flees the country so that he doesn't have to pay child support for a kid he don't want. They typed it, we read it. Let's get into it. Welcome to Reddit's Overshares. Let's go. I found my husband trying to cheat a few weeks right after I gave birth to our son. 38 male, 35 female. I gave birth 4 to 5 weeks ago, and it's been really hectic. I am exhausted and sleep deprived and hazy every morning. And after recently checking my husband's behavior, I have been even more stressed out and feel betrayed. My husband has been spending way too much time outside of the house nowadays. He does help in cleaning the house, preparing all the meals, but the time he spends with me, sometimes the kid has been minimum to none. I had complications during labor and expected him to at least show a bit of consideration and warmth, but instead he's just detached and doesn't even talk. I asked him about him a few days ago, and his excuse was that I was spending too much time with the baby. Oh gosh, I know where this shiz is going. Mind you that we had this baby after a lot of failures, and this year we even had a miscarriage. I had fallen down from a very steep set of stairs, and it was terrible. This time still haunts me, and I want to make it up by spending as much time as I can with my now baby son. Whenever I'm breastfeeding, he leaves the room and doesn't enter. He even tried to get me into watching some lame-ass movie with him. It was nice that he set the bed and made my favorites, but didn't want the baby to be with me. I told him that I was the mother now and had priorities, and he went out of the room, saying nothing the next morning. A few days after that, he ordered me a necklace, and it was really pretty, but I didn't let him put it on me, and he didn't talk much after that. What the hell? I don't know. I'm starting to think you're the problem, but let's continue. Recently, a few of my friends also came to visit, and they made a few jokes about him acting like a man-child when I told them about how he was acting. He got into a fight with me afterwards. I admit that I had told him to sleep elsewhere rather than our bedroom. I felt the need for space and suffocating me at time to have another body touching me, especially when I feel extremely disgusted with how everything has changed. I really hope you preference this if this is before or after you found this out, because I'm going to be honest, you kind of suck. Let me not jump to conclusions, but please don't touch me. Please don't give me gifts. I know you did something special for me, but please don't. Ew. I told him that the baby needs me and that I'm doing all I can. He isn't the one waking up at 3 or 4 in the morning to calm the baby, nor is he the one feeding the baby. I'm the one who went through all the pain and should be the one getting a bit of pampering, but he doesn't do it anymore. He has tried. And he has tried. And you have told him no. You have pushed it away. You're like, no, I'm actually not in the mood for you to help me. I'm not in the mood to be pampered. Actually, do it when I want you to do it. A week after birth, he was perfect. He brought me sweets, hugged me randomly, massaged me when I felt too drained, and used to bring a small flower every day. He does none of that anymore, and it's a sudden shift, which I find odd and disturbing. He sat with me, made me laugh, said random stuff to the baby. He still brings stuff home, maybe a small toy or whatever groceries are required. But whenever he sees me with the baby, he just turns and leaves. When the baby is alone though, he spends time with him, often initiating skin-to-skin contact. He's been obsessed since the doctors told him about it. It gets him to say small words. He adores his son, but he's stopped engaging with me. I heard from one of our mutuals, who is my husband's coworker too, that he had been seen laughing around a lot with one of his assistants around the coffee house nearby. She's pretty young and is good looking too. I told him that if he wanted to do all that, he should just leave before it gets too messy. And retorts by saying I was too friendly with my ex when he congratulated me for my son and sent a few gifts. I had only talked to my ex for a while and let him come home to see the baby. My husband just cooked and went to sleep in the room. It bugs me how he didn't deny it or even defend himself and is trying to take revenge on someone who literally gave birth to his own son. Okay. Pump the brakes. My friend, you suck. I don't know if he is doing anything wrong. Yes, I don't know the context of why he was at the coffee shop. It's one of his assistants, so I'm assuming they were doing a work thing, and it wasn't like they went off campus together purposely to get coffee. You know what I mean? Girl. So let me get this straight. He has offered to pamper you on multiple occasions. He made all your favorite things. He wanted to watch a stupid ass movie, from what you say, or sorry, lame ass movie with you. And you're like, oh God, I'm just not in the mood. But I'll be in it when I am in the mood. I need you to do that. I smell that you are the problem. Now, I will say, I can kind of relate with him wanting space from the baby. I don't have a baby, okay? And I know comparing animals to babies is not the same thing. But when it comes to my relationships, okay, there has to be a clear boundary. Now, for me, I had to set some precedent with my animals when it came to my relationship. It's like, hey, I just want to hang out with you, because they like to get in between us. They like to literally stare when there's any kind of intimacy. It's almost like you're never alone. And I could see your husband, you said your husband, yeah, your husband being like, I just want to hang out with you. Can you just put the baby in the other room for like 2 hours or an hour? Just give us some time. Let the baby sleep alone. Give us time. Because it's clearly what you want. You want affection, you want love, but you're like, only on my time, and I have to have the baby with me because I'm the mother. No, you don't. Let the baby breathe. Give the baby some space too. You would think if you're getting up at 3 or 4 in the morning to feed this thing every single night, you would want a freaking breath of fresh air away from it, right? I'm sorry I'm calling it an it, but you didn't give it a name. You're the problem. I don't think anything's going on. And because you know that you are giving this man vinegar, you know, oh, well, maybe my relationship is a little bit in jeopardy. You know that you're being a bitch when it comes to this man. And he's still doing a lot for you. He's getting the groceries. He's still getting extra shit at the grocery store for you and the baby. He's doing skin-to-skin. This is the problem. You write this whole post knowing you're in the wrong. And you're like, he's cheating on me. There's never a good reason to cheat. But you are icing this man out. You're giving him nothing, not even crumbs. And you're bitching. You're complaining because he isn't doing enough. He's still doing plenty, but he's not exactly how it was. But I wouldn't be with you either. Not be with you, but I would not be this perfect man that you're talking about before birth either. If that's the way you're treating me, you don't appreciate shit. Why do I need to give you anything? And this is very confusing. I'm gonna be honest. I'm a little confused as to you acting like that before or after you heard about the coffee shop shit. And he's not allowed to laugh? Good gracious, woman. Good gracious. Let's go to the effing comments, because Odds are not in your favor, little one. The majority of the comments are very confused by this post, as we probably are as well. So let's find something that doesn't say that. Commenter, her comments are making me think the husband is a good dude who loves his kid, is still taking care of his postpartum wife, but is mad about letting the ex over, and based on the comments, the ex sucked. That's another big thing that I did not focus on. Why? Are you the one cheating and you're projecting your insecurities and your guilt on your husband? Why does your ex need to come see your offspring? So inappropriate. I can't even imagine, because you guys know I was in a very long relationship, a freaking decade, okay? You would not catch me dead having him meet my offspring. Inappropriate on so many levels. No. And we didn't even really we didn't have a big blowout or anything. It was a very mutual, this has got to end, okay? Cut ties with all of your exes unless you have a kid. Inappropriate. I don't care what any of you guys say. There's no reason unless you're saving them. There's no reason. Absolutely zero. Okay. Let's continue. Commenter, this is what you usually get when you hear one side of the story. Yes, but she painted a very terrible picture for herself. She didn't lie. She told the truth and everybody's like, you suck. You are the bad apple. Commenter, it appears that a lot is missing from the story here. Another commenter, right? He cooks, sets up dates, gets her gifts, and she's focusing on the negative. Okay, anyways. There's the typical, this is fake bullshit, but I'm going to be honest, there's a lot of bitches out here like this. So I don't think this is fake. I think that women like to get in their head. They really do. And she didn't know how to word this properly for us to be in her favor because she is the Wicked Witch of the West, okay? Okay. Anyways, let's continue. Today, I effed up by trying to break my buddy out of jail. It worked for a minute. This is the story of a jailbreak that actually worked for about a minute. It happened years ago. I won't share certain specifics and I'll use fake names, but this was the most epic screw up I've ever been a part of, and it was mine. At the time, I was in the military, stationed statewide. One night, a group of buddies and I discovered Jaeger bombs. Round after round, we kept them coming. And before we knew it, the night had flown by. My friend Brian offered to drive my roommate and me back to our off-base apartment. We didn't make it far. A car full of 3 21-year-olds leaving a bar at 2 a.m. near military base. That drew police attention. We got pulled over, and as soon as the officer reached Brian's window, it was clear we were drunk. All of us admitted it. Brian blew into the breathalyzer and failed instantly. He was cuffed and placed in the back of the patrol car. Then the officer turned to my roommate and me. He explained that if one of us blew under the limit, we could drive Brian's car home and save him the impound fees. We both tried, we both failed. Here's where it gets weird. The officer left us with Brian's car and the keys. Then he drove off with Brian to book him into the local jail. To this day, I have no idea why he left us like that. About 20 minutes later, my roommate and I had what seemed like a brilliant idea. A quick note, this all happened years ago, back when DUI penalties were just starting to become as serious as they are today. We were young, reckless, and unbelievably stupid. I don't condone drinking and driving in any way, and I'm grateful that nobody was hurt. Now, back to the bad ideas. Both my roommate and I were military police officers. We felt guilty for letting Brian drive us, and now he was in trouble. So, with zero judgment, we decided to drive Brian's car back to our apartment ourselves. It wasn't far, but that doesn't excuse the stupidity. And then, somewhere between leaving the bar and arriving home, we came up with the ultimate plan. We were going to break Brian out of jail. The master plan, here's how it went down, step by step. Return Brian's car to our apartment, brush our teeth, pop in gum, shave, and get into our military police uniforms. Put on our guard belts to look like we were on duty. Call my precinct dispatch and ask them not to contact the jail Brian was at. Every night, the command checked local jails for military members. Luckily, I knew the dispatcher on duty, and he owed me a big favor. He agreed without asking questions. Call the jail directly, pretending to be my command. I asked if any military members were in custody. custody. They confirm Brian was there. I then asked if we could take him into custody. They said yes. So stupid. Give ourselves one last pep talk, then head out. We pulled into the jail parking lot around 4 a.m. It was completely empty. We buzzed at the entrance, explained we were there to take custody of Brian, and were told, okay. 25 of the longest minutes of my life later, a loud buzzer sounded, the heavy metal door slid open, and there stood 2 correctional officers and Brian in handcuffs. The look on his face was priceless. Jaw dropped, pale as a ghost. I told the officers I'd put my own cuffs on him so they could take theirs back. I even gave him a pat down before swapping them out. And just like that, Brian was in my custody. We thanked the officers, walked him out, and headed across the lot towards our car. Hearts pounding. This is so freaking stupid. That's when my roommate whispered, "Don't get in the car. Don't get in the car." I turned around to see the arresting officer standing behind us. He looked us dead in the eye and asked, "Aren't you the 2 passengers from the vehicle I pulled over tonight?" Busted. Our luck had run out. The lot had been empty when we arrived, but while we were waiting inside, the arresting officer had pulled in and was sitting in his patrol car doing paperwork. He watched us walk Brian out of jail like it was nothing. You can guess what happened next. We all went to jail. By 8 a.m., our command came to get us. Back at base, I was told to go home, pack my things, and be ready because this wasn't going to end well. The next day, I returned and didn't leave for base for 45 days until we deployed again. The fallout. I was punished to the fullest extent of the Uniform Code of Military Justice. I disappointed a lot of people, and I carry that shame. But at the same time, I was infamous. Word spread fast. Everyone knew about the failed jailbreak, and for better or for worse, it made us celebrities. People said we embodied loyalty. You had to admire the audacity, even if the execution was insane. Thankfully, this didn't end my career. I served out my enlistment honorably, and I've never screwed up like that again. Looking back now, it was crazy, reckless, and absolutely stupid. But it's also one of those wild stories that remind me of the bonds we had as brothers in arms. We tried to break a friend out of jail, and for a brief, glorious moment, it worked. This could have given you a fat record. What a stupid thing to do. I mean, thankfully you didn't impersonate officers. You know, you are officers, but you're clearly drunk. And how did they not know you were drunk? This is absolutely insane behavior. It's actually really cool. This is something stupid I would do as a kid, but I would be impersonating a police officer and I would probably be still sitting in jail. So there's that. And before we go to the comments, honestly, him leaving you with the car is not really that weird. I mean, anytime somebody has been arrested, they're kind of like, here's the keys, whether you're drunk or not. Because they're like, okay, they'll be smart. Maybe they'll get a tow truck, something. It's not his responsibility anymore. Like, this isn't your car, but here's his belongings kind of thing. This also reminds me of a story of a cop just, not really thinking clearly, I guess you should say. It was me and my brother-in-law. We were driving around Seabreeze, which if you don't know Daytona, whatever, it's basically a main strip. And we were driving around and we go up A1A, we start crossing the bridge, and we were drinking and driving. And he inevitably gets pulled over because I am throwing up out the passenger seat. He allegedly was drinking and driving. I don't know what came of this, but basically we got pulled over and the cop had the audacity after arresting him to come to me and say, "Hey, do you want to drive?" 1, I'm clearly blacked out. 2, I'm clearly throwing up out of the passenger seat window. The fact that you told me to get behind the wheel, I would have killed somebody that night. If he wasn't like, my guy, she's like 10 times more drunk than I. What are you doing? Absolutely insane behavior. So to say they just leave you the keys, not far-fetched, because this seems pretty standard. Literally anytime somebody has got arrested with me, they just give you the car and the keys and they're like, well, do what you please. So that part's not really that weird. I'm gonna be honest. Commenter, I was assuming he left you with the car and the keys, hoping you'd be stupid enough to drive it away. You were, but he wasn't watching you by then. Maybe, but obviously he didn't stick around to find out, so that logic is flawed. This is a response to that comment. Well, I can assure you, I had my keys taken by the commanding officer on scene of a party being busted around 2005, directly after a lower level officer had just released me from the scene. He was a real ass and didn't leave them at the desk either. So I had to wait all day until he came back on shift. I was about 17, 18, and we were not a small town. I don't think that's protocol, my guy. I do not think that is accurate. Like, obviously that happened to you, but I don't think that's standard. I don't know. I mean, honestly, I remember even before I had my license, me and my two other friends were driving without a license. We had one of our sister's cars and we were driving around. We forgot to turn signal and we got pulled over. And for whatever reason, this cop said one of us could drive, knowing that we don't have a license either. Somebody ended up coming because we're like, no. Sometimes I just don't understand the train of thoughts that goes on. They're kind of just like, I'm dealing with this. I don't really give a shit what happens after. Do what you gotta do. I got this. You do that. Okay? Maybe another officer will stop you down the way and he can get your ass. I don't know what the logic is, but it's usually pretty flawed when it comes to this kind of thing. And these times that I'm remembering, it was way before my record was what it is. I had one charge, and it was a pretty bad one. But they didn't look me up in either of these places, so I wasn't the one driving. Anyways, let's go to another one. Okay, so this one has a trigger warning. I don't know what it's for, but there's your warning, okay? I gave it to you. My parents invited their friends on a family vacation, and now I don't want to go. Original post. This post will probably be long, and I'll try not to ramble too much and hope that this post is easy to follow. But I'm not sure how to handle the situation at hand, so I need advice. For context, my parents are swingers. I kind of got that from the title, I'm gonna be honest. I found out about them being swingers right after I graduated high school in 2016. I've never really had an opinion on the matter until recently. I don't care what they do behind closed doors, but I personally don't want to see it in person. I'm sure that makes me sound like a bad person, but I've always accepted them for who they are. It's honestly just really weird to see my parents make out with other people when they're around a group of people. There's nothing weird about that. That's called being normal. I don't want to see anybody make out. Not even my parents being swingers, okay? That's just the way it is. Anyways, they are in a relationship with another couple and have been with them for almost 2 years. Wow. Okay, doing the dang thing. They, being the other couple, just recently moved. Good gracious. Ooh, this is gonna get messy. Just recently moved in with my parents because they lost their house and couldn't find another place in time. My parents kicked my sister, her fiance, and their baby out of the basement in order to give their friends the space and put my sister. It's not their friends, it's their couple. Okay. Respect. I'm not going to judge. We listen. We do not judge until the end. Anyways, okay. Let's start this. Okay. My parents kicked my sister, her fiance, and their baby out of the basement in order to give their friends the space and put my sister, her fiance, and baby upstairs in one bedroom to share, which is a small 12 by 12 room. The friends have also stated that they are another set of grandparents for my niece and call them grandma, insert name, and papa, insert name. My sister and her fiance are not comfortable with this, but my parents and their friends don't seem to care because they are all together as one. Now, on to the vacation. We were supposed to go on our first ever family vacation last year, October 2021, but it ended up getting pushed back to April of this year due to cost because of my wedding, which everyone was fine with. It then got pushed back again because my sister was in her 3rd trimester of her pregnancy and couldn't fly. It is now scheduled for February of 2023. My parents told my sister and I, along with our sister-in-law, that they would be bringing their friends along on the vacation. And I'm frustrated about it, to be honest. With the way that they've been handling things with my sister and with all of their PDA, it made me not want to go anymore. It's our first ever family vacation, like I've already mentioned. and I want it to just be my family. I'm at a loss and I'm not sure how to handle the situation. And we don't want to upset my parents about how I and everyone else, my husband, sister, and brother-in-law feel. Any advice? Okay, so there's 2 edits on here. I'll read it before I say anything. Edits. I'm married and do not live at home anymore. Although my sister, her fiance, and baby do, they're currently looking for places. We live in a state where cost of living is super high, like a lot of places right now. And with them only having one income, it's harder for them to find something. Hopefully that clears things up. Edit 2. I didn't expect this to get as much attention as it did, and I have read each comment and taken advice, which is true. They're adults and can do whatever they want, but some of the things they do should be in private settings and not for others to see. Yes. They also consider their girlfriend and boyfriend to be family, again, which is fine. I know many people do, and since it's my family vacation, they're still inviting them, regardless of how everyone else feels about it. I just want to be with my parents for once without their friends being there and having them be all over each other. They also see no issue with their friends calling themselves grandparents to my niece. I got upset and told them my husband and I would not be attending the vacation and they could take someone else. And until they understand where I'm coming from, I would not be going around. So for the time being, my parents are being cut off. I'm very sad about the outcome, and it makes me sad that they would choose their friends over their own child. But to each their own, I guess. Thank you all for the comments. I read every single one of them. Even if I didn't comment back, I still read them. There were so many very nice supporting ones that really helped, and also some not very nice ones that also helped. So thank you all. Now, this is the final comment from OP on her sister. Yes, my sister agrees with me. I'm not sure if she's planning on going or not. So if she doesn't, we might go on our own little vacation. Oh my God, you guys. There's another update. Oh, this is a good one. Exciting. I cut my parents out of my life and now my dad might be dying. I don't know what to do. Hi everyone, I, 27 female, just came here for advice maybe. I don't really know. I just needed a place to talk about this. There's a ton of backstory, so I'll try to explain it as much as I can, and hopefully it doesn't get so confusing. Okay, we're gonna skip past that. Okay, I was gonna skip past her rewriting the story, but there's some segments in here that she did not include in her previous post. So buckle in, okay? I'm sorry if it gets repeated. My parents are in an open polyamorous marriage. They started out as swingers when I was 7, and a few years ago, they met another couple and decided to just be with them, which is fine. I am happy that they are happy. However, when the other couple, we'll call them D and T, came into my parents' life, my parents changed. They became very toxic, controlling, and just all around not fun to be around. They don't take anyone's feeling into consideration and force their other partners into our lives, which over the last couple years, I have decided I don't want to be around D and T. On multiple occasions, they were all inappropriate in front of us, my sister, her family, and my husband and I. And it was really uncomfortable in a lot of ways. They, my parents, kicked my sister and her family out of their basement apartment and moved them into a small bedroom upstairs in their house so they could move their other partners into the house. My niece was also only 2 months at the time. From there, things have gotten worse. D&T refer to themselves as my second parents and as grandparents to my son and my niece, which I have asked them not to, since I barely know them. My parents have chosen their other partners over my sister, her family, and myself, and my family many times. My sister had to move emergency last year, and my sister asked my mom if she could watch my niece since it was raining, snowing outside. And my mom said no, because they were going to spend the night playing Mario Kart and didn't want the distraction. When I told them I was pregnant, the very first thing my dad said to me was, "Can we tell D&T?" And I said no. After my son was born, I went to my parents' house for a short 30-minute visit. As soon as I got there, my dad texted D to tell her I was there. So she and T came upstairs. My mom was holding the baby, 8 weeks at the time. And when D&T came up, she handed my son to D without asking me. I was so upset. I want to clarify, I would have been upset if anyone just handed my baby to someone without asking me. I wasn't upset just because of the person. You should never hold a baby without permission from the parent. I agree. I don't even want you to hold my dog. I had a very intimate religious ceremony, similar to the christening. where we were only wanting family and our close friends. I invited my parents and they asked if they could bring D&T. Of course they did. Of course. And I said no because it was for family and not close friends. So they decided not to come. This would have been the nail in the coffin. I would have been dunzo. They decided not to come to a family event because I didn't want their partners there, which they considered family and I do not, which I have clearly tried to tell them over years of them being with D&T. Because this event was for my son. I decided they weren't going to pull any more stunts. They weren't going to choose them over me and my family anymore. So I cut them out. I told them that I'm happy that they're happy because I know they love me. I wasn't going to make them choose between us. I told them I wasn't done being hurt and I needed time away from them. I haven't seen or spoken to my parents since April of 2024. I have tried telling my parents about my boundaries many times, but they don't listen and they just want us all to be one big happy family, which my sister and I and our partners don't want. We both just want to be around our parents. Anyways, I got a text from my mom yesterday saying my dad was just diagnosed with heart failure and I have so many emotions. I'm angry and I'm also sad. My heart hurts. I don't know what to do. Part of me is wanting a better relationship with my parents as long as my boundaries are followed. But another part of me has never been happier, felt more at peace these last 9 months. I just don't want to have my dad pass and regret not letting him have a relationship with myself or my son. I just hate getting hurt by my parents all the time. I am in therapy and I have been working through everything for a while, but it's still so hard. Any advice is appreciated and I will try to answer any questions anyone has. Thank you for taking this time to read this, and I'm sorry if it's confusing. Okay, let me read this edit, and then I have some shiz to say. Edit. I want to say my parents have been with other couples that I have loved. It wasn't until D&T that I had an issue, and it's because of the action that they have done that pushed me away. I am happy that my parents are happy, but I shouldn't have to put myself in an uncomfortable position to make other people happy. So I ultimately decided to keep distance in order to make my mental health better. There's this common misconception, okay? Just because someone is family, someone is blood, does not mean that they just get a free pass. Cut them off. You cut them off for a reason. Here's my thing. Would you make amends if heart failure was not on the table? Would you? Probably not. So why does someone's inevitable death make it any different? They're going to die one day. They're going to die whether he gets in a car crash tomorrow. There is an inevitable thing that happens in all of our lives. I mean, unless you're a vampire, but of course that's like non-existent. So my question is, why does this make it any different? Why all of a sudden you want to change? Why all of a sudden do you want to lift your foot on the decision that you made? This has been a very confusing thing for me because people will tell me, oh, you know, so-and-so, they got diagnosed with blah, 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 blah. Oh, you know, so-and-so. I don't give a shit. I cut you off for a reason. If somebody called me about an old friend that we have cut ties, we cut ties for a good reason. If I got a call that said, oh, you know, Blase is in the hospital. They might not make it. Why are you calling me? I don't care. We are not friends. Circumstances are not going to change the shit that happened in between us. Maybe that's a bitter stance. But you know what? You made a very specific comment that makes me believe you don't want to go. But your guilty conscience is getting the best of you. You said verbatim, part of me wants to have a better relationship with my parents, as long as my boundaries are always followed. But another part of me has never been happier, felt more at peace these past 9 months. Your parents are toxic and they are messing with your mental health. And like I said, it does not matter. Somebody does not get a free pass to treat you like trash because they are related to you. Mother, sister, brother, whatever. They, as you also said, do not respect your boundaries. They do not respect you. Why do you want somebody like this in your life? Riddle me that. I'm sorry. And I know a lot of you are going to be like, well, you know, they're dying. I don't care. They've been dying this whole time, just a little slower. What's the difference now? Like I said, if they got hit by a car tomorrow, Would you be speeding to the hospital? Probably not. I wouldn't. I'm like, okay, as shitty as it is, you've made this choice to prioritize these people over me. So that is what I am doing. I am matching your energy. I know you want things, okay? People keep their toxic parents in their life because they wish that they would be different. They are not. They are not what you want. They're not what you picture. They are not this Disney family that you always wanted. And as much as you come back and let them disrespect you, nothing is going to change about that. Oh, well, it's the same shit with cheaters. Why they give them chance after chance after chance. Oh, well, maybe they'll be different this time. No, they won't. And if they are, they'll be like that for like a month. The mask will slip again and you'll be right back where you are right now. That's why I don't backpedal. I don't backslide. Sorry. Unless you can make a change, a provable change to me, and you really want something different, I'm all ears. I know people can change. I was an addict. I understand. People change. I need proof of concept. Okay? Okay. That's my thought. Okay? Okay. Commenter, this is something you need to decide. They are only reaching out because of his condition, not because they want to be better parents. They already chose D&T over your son. Your son doesn't need to see them. You can go alone and see what is really going on. They want to guilt you into forgiving them. They haven't tried to apologize. Yes. Exactly. And who knows? Maybe your dad doesn't even have heart failure. OP responded, that's how I feel. I feel like they're pressuring me to see them when I'm not ready. My mom texted me a couple months back saying, how long are you going to stay away from us? Are we still toxic? And I feel like they're blaming me for not seeing them when I voiced my boundaries countless times and they choose to ignore them. I know it's not on me, but they're making me feel like shit because I want to protect myself and my son from being hurt. Yes. I mean, that comment that they made, I'm going to assume your dad is A-okay. I'm going to assume that. And they just want you to forgive them. They're like, once they see us, it'll be okay. They'll forgive us. They'll forgive us. We don't have to apologize. We don't have to accept blame for anything. Nothing is ever my fault. The victim mentality, it's there. It's there. Commenter, you'll never have the relationship you want with your parents, as it's clear they are selfish and will always include their partners. Don't feel guilty. They have never put you first. Yes. Unfortunately, that is the sad truth. OP responded, thank you. I needed to hear don't feel guilty. This whole situation has taken a toll on me for years. I just learned I needed to do what's best for me and my little family. Yes. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. Because the fact that you are mentally just so good without them speaks volumes of what your decision should be. OP gives examples of how they were inappropriate over the years. Let's get into it. Examples of being inappropriate include them flashing each other in front of us, my dad pulling down his pants and mooning the front door when I walked in because he thought it was his girlfriend. And I thought it was going to be full frontal when I started to read that, I'm going to be honest. And other inappropriate actions that shouldn't be done in front of other people, especially your children and their spouses. Yes. T would put his hand on my back and I would ask not to be touched. I get very uncomfortable because of some essay from my childhood. So I don't like being touched by many people. But yet, he would do it every time I saw them. I have tried many times to voice my boundaries and they have not been respected. If these inappropriate behaviors stopped, I wouldn't mind seeing them alone with my parents, but I shouldn't have to if I'm uncomfortable. The boundaries I have voiced, I don't want them calling themselves my second parents or grandparents to my child. I don't want to see all of their inappropriate PDA. I'm fine with a kiss, but the inappropriate stuff can wait until people aren't visiting. I don't consider them family, just as my parents don't consider any of my friends family. That's enough of this story. I'm over it. I feel so bad. Let's keep going. I left the country to avoid paying child support for a kid I didn't want. I had been with my girlfriend for a year at the time. We were both 22 and just out of university, getting started on our careers. One night, she tells me that she missed her period. We got a test and it turned up positive. Mind you, I was a bit surprised because I always use protection, and she told me she was on birth control. We had discussed this prior and had decided to hold off on having kids at least until 5 years later when we were both set, so I was sure we'd safely abort. I thought it'd just be there to comfort her and give her time to process what's happening. 3 weeks later, she tells me she wants to keep it. I keep pleading with her, telling her I'm not ready and we were going to be okay financially, but she insists that this is what she wants and that we'll be happy. I firmly told her I was not on board, and she responded saying it was her sole decision and she'd make up her mind. We decided to take a break from each other because of the constant fighting and eventually decided to part ways. I speak with my parents about this, and while I was initially planning to stay back and help raise the kid, they convinced me that it's best if I leave the country. What the hell? My father was a dual citizen of both the US and another country, which I also inherited. We spoke to multiple lawyers and knew that I would be untouchable by US courts if there weren't any enforceable child support treaties with that country. Last I heard, she had a successful pregnancy and was reaching out to all of our mutual contacts to try and reach me. I only disclosed this to a few close friends who thankfully didn't share any information with her. I do sometimes wonder what it would have been like to raise a child, and I wish her well. But not having any say in the final decision and being forced into it still gives me nightmares. So there is something fundamentally flawed about our system. I say that because, women, they have the total control over this, right? If a woman doesn't want the baby, they can choose to abort. If a man doesn't want the baby, it doesn't matter. You have no choice in this. Although the repercussions of raising this child are relatively the same. Like if you were to ask her to step out, just have the baby, give it to me, and you can go do what you're going to do, or vice versa. But at the end of the day, the man has no choice. And I think that's not okay. I think, and I may get attacked for this. I don't really give a shit. I'm going to be honest. I think that if a woman could sit there and abort their child, a man should be able to say, I'm signing away my rights. I'm not paying for a child I do not want. If you can get rid of it, I should not have to take care of it if I don't want it. That's just fair. We fight for equal rights, but in 9 times out of 10, the situation is in the woman's favor. It really is. And with everything, especially when it comes to the courts with children and family, oh my God. It's 90% of the time in the woman's favor. Now, him fleeing the country is absolutely insane, okay? He should have had a real discussion. I mean, obviously you guys fought, you weren't going to be together, but to hide, you're in a country, apparently, that they cannot grab the child support from you anyways. So her knowing where you are, why does it really matter? You can know the city and the state where somebody is, and you still don't know where the hell they are. It's probably best, because you're obviously not a good person, if this is the route you went, okay, well, I'm just gonna flee the country. So what's gonna happen when you come back? And I don't know enough about the laws with child support to be able to give you a solid advice, because I've heard multiple things. If you're not on the birth certificate, they can't come after you. But I've also heard it doesn't really matter. They can say whoever the dad is, and they try and make you pay, even without a DNA test. But I don't know. I don't have any bastard children, so I don't know. I don't have children at all. I have dogs. So, Commodore, does this mean you can never visit the U.S. without risking being arrested? Commodore, in a lot of states, there's no statute of limitation for child support. So even 50 years later, you could go after somebody. That's true. And they will garnish your wages and Social Security. I do know that. I remember I worked with somebody at the morgue. Dude, this was so sad. But, I mean, sex has consequences, okay? This guy had, I think, 3 kids. And after paying child support, I don't know how he lived. He said that he had $200 to his name after child support. And I'm like, how? How can you? And it's taken out of his check. He has no choice. How can you survive? You know what I mean? Because any job you get, they're going to take from you. Because it depends. I do know it depends on how much you make. And, dude, they were taking, what was it? this was back in 2019. And I think our paychecks were about $1,400 every 2 weeks. And yeah, that would mean they were taking about $1,200 from him every 2 weeks. Which the math ain't mathin'. That doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, if it was me, I'd just be a good person and I'd be like, here's some money. Please don't garnish my wages, because I'd find a job that's under the table and I'd give you money that way. Because no. Garnishing is like, I'm so against garnishing. I've had companies try and do this shit to me and I'm like, for what? For what? Like, legitimately, I have nothing that you should be garnishing my wages for. It's crazy. I'm like, I'll give you payments because it's not like I'm late or anything. No, you're not getting, no. Anyways, I'm off track. Anyways. Commenter, I left the U.S., resident alien, and family are all citizens now, at early 20s. Came back to visit in my mid-30s and apparently did not pay the last payment of a DUI fine, less than $100 US, and had 2 sheriffs waiting for me when getting off the plane and went straight to jail. Good times. They never, ever forget. Commenter, yeah, but a DUI is something cops take seriously. Being a deadbeat dad isn't taken nearly as serious. That's true. They take DUIs very serious. Because there's some people, after I think on their 3rd DUI, you basically get life in prison. I mean, you get a lot of time, which you're putting people's lives in danger, and you should get in a lot of trouble. And I can advocate for this because I have been caught doing this and I am embarrassed. I should not have been doing it. So don't do it. Don't do it. I think it's a really shitty thing to do. Don't do it. Because they say that if you get caught doing it once, you've probably done it 100 times. And the thing about it is, with a DUI, I know this doesn't have anything to do with the story. The DUI, even if you had 1 drink, if you got like a 0.5, which is like a sniff of an alcohol beverage, if it's the other person's fault in the other car and you get in an accident, oh man, it's your fault now. It don't matter. It don't matter. Even if you get T-boned and they know it's not your fault, it's your fault. I don't know if it's everywhere, but here in California, if your car's unregistered, same thing. It's now your fault for some odd reason. Don't really know why. Don't really understand it, but here we are. Here we are. Commenter, I have a friend whose ex is doing this, living with family and getting paid under the table so he can control exactly how much money he sends her. She left because he was abusive and controlling, and now he's still trying his best to be abusive and controlling. Well, that doesn't really paint him abusive and controlling. I'm going to be honest. If somebody tried to garnish my wages to pay for my child, I get it. You need to pay for your kid, okay? It's a forced action. But I would be getting paid under the table so I can give you the money. I would give you exactly what you want, but I would be giving it to you. Because who knows? Emergencies happen, on both sides. People got to pay their bills too. I mean, I'm not advocating for the deadbeat dad, okay? I think you need to pay for your kid. If you're not going to be in the kid's life, if you're not going to take care of the kid, you need to pay for the kid, period. Unless you didn't want it and she forced you to have it. But at the same time, you guys both laid down together. It's both of your fault. Everybody acts like it's so hard to get somebody pregnant. Let me just explain something. I'm in my 30s, okay? I have not been pregnant once. You want to know why? Cause I have been responsible. Okay? Don't let dudes come in you. Okay? It's as easy as that. And if they do it, oh my God, go get a plan B right now. Okay? It better be safe than sorry. Keep it from being a conception, okay? Get on get, okay? Okay. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget, I have a crap load of videos over on my Patreon. The link is in the description. Also, don't forget. Like, subscribe, comment, whatever you want to do. It's all up to you. Why is it not fucking sing? Whatever. Goodbye.